So, moving on to our first story, we are talking about Monica Rial. Now, you might not know who Monica Rial is. Monica Rial is a voice actor who has done a lot of different roles, actually. Specifically, one that I think comes to mind for a lot of people now is Bulma from Dragon Ball Z Kai, as well as Dragon Ball Z Kai The Final Chapters, and Dragon Ball Super, as well as the new movie, Dragon Ball Super Broly. And, of course, as well, Battle of Gods and Revival of F. So, she has been Bulma ever since the last Bulma had, the voice actress for Bulma had left, which I believe was not only after the, Dragon Ball dub, obviously in GT dub, but also after many games as well. So she did not reprise her role, but which Kai came out in 2010. So then, yeah, she must have left in 2009. I don't know if she retired from voice acting in general, but I do believe that is the case. So Monica Rial has been the voice of, she's also been Panty from Panty and Stocking, and she was also a character from My Hero Academia who, interestingly enough, could wash out her stomach by removing it, which is the first time I heard the phrase "weird flex but okay," and I was like, God, I'm old. So now you might be thinking, oh, why is she being harassed? Like, what did she, not that harassment should be warranted, but some people might think if she's being harassed online, some people using the word cancel on her, which is usually used for people who do heinous things. You might be thinking, well, what is going on here, right? Well, if you're watching this in our playlist, in the Vic Mignogna allegations article on our YouTube channel, then yes, you know that this some way ties in with Vic Mignogna. So what she had said was, and this was early on, there are some new statements from her that just came out literally today as we're recording this, but early on she had said that she not only believed the victims that have came out, the alleged victims that have came out to accuse Vic Mignogna of sexual assault, but she also said that she has a story to share herself. However, if I was interpreting it correctly, and Tristan, I believe you may have seen the tweet as well from a while ago, not sure if you saw it, but because I know you don't have a Twitter, but I might have sent it to you. She did not say out loud, Vic Mignogna sexually assaulted me. So you would think, yes, she did say I stand with the victim, so anyone who believes in Vic Mignogna wholeheartedly, no matter what, doesn't even call them allegations, just says, no, Vic didn't do anything ever, despite the fact that Vic Mignogna has made some apologies for doing things. But again, maybe I'm interpreting that wrong, but I feel like when you apologize for something, even if it's, I apologize for hurting you, there are some allegations that Mignogna has outright denied. So then I would suggest just denying all things, but even then, even if he denied everything, there are pictures and video. Now, we'll talk about some of the pictures and video later because there are some conspiracy theories going around. Forgot to mention that we're also talking about conspiracies today on this episode of Keikaku Korner, but some surrounding Monica Rial, actually. So, again, you're thinking, wait, so, but that's what all this is about. That's what she's being harassed about. Her saying, I believe victims and I have a sexual harassment story, but not saying directly that it was about Vic Mignogna. And actually, yes, that is all it takes to be harassed on the internet nowadays. Now, here's the thing, by the way. If people are saying, hey man, whoa, they're getting ready to shit on us in the comments. Here's the thing, right? When I say harassed, I'm not saying that someone said, you suck and your voice acting sucks. No, the first type of harassment that I had seen that definitely threw her into a state of, into a scared state, I would say, especially as someone who, I don't know I don't know how she usually interacts with the internet. And so I don't know like what she thinks is normal online. I mean, as a woman online, you would expect her to get a certain type of harassment, not only daily, but maybe like weekly, monthly, because a lot of women online get harassment just for existing, just for playing a video game, right? So,
which is still wrong to begin with.
Of course, but of course. So but again, you're thinking like, well, what kind of harassment? What was she called? And anything like that. It's not even about what she was called. Jumping to the picture that we have right here, you guys can see this if you're watching the video. If you're not, we'll tell you what's in this picture on the podcast. It was in a comment section for a specific YouTuber's video. I don't know if he's deleted the comments since then. I hope that he has. YouTuber's name is YellowFlash2. We're not calling him out just yet. That might be later. But for right now, what we're going to say is the comment is, so from someone named and this could be a burner account, so I have no problem with saying this YouTube name, especially because there's no profile picture. Jason Pellegrin says, hope she's wearing a bulletproof vest in her next convention because someone might get certain ideas. So when you're saying that, and I notice some people, they're like, hey man, I look at YouTube comment sections and I see shit like that daily, sometimes even directed at me. The thing is that she's an anime voice actress who, again, I don't know what her familiarity with the internet is, but probably at the most gets people saying, your voice sucks, subs are the best. And she's like, well, all right. You know, if you buy the DVD, then at least you're supporting Funimation. Like, I don't know what she thinks, right? Because I don't know her. But I assume that she's probably like, you know, people are going to tell you that you suck online, right? That's not news. But there's a difference between you suck, or is there even a difference between I don't believe you and saying you better wear a bulletproof vest? Because here's the thing, for anyone who might not be in the public eye, especially even us, because you might be thinking, well, we're online, but you see our views. We're not really in the public eye. So nobody know, like, we're not getting invited to cons, is my point. She's getting invited to cons. She's, you know, going to like meetups and fan stuff and all that stuff. And people obviously know where she works, i.e. they know the address for Funimation headquarters is publicly available. So when you see shit like that, you know, like, oh god, her address is her, maybe not a personal address, but Funimation's address is publicly available, you know what next con she's going to, because you can just look that up and see what her schedule is going to be like for the next year through social media. So when someone says that, that is legitimately terrifying. Like, I think some people look at harassment online and they're just like, hey man, that's just how things are, it sucks, but whatever. And it's like, it is the way things have been, yes. But we can't just sit back and be like, oh, well, what are you going to do about it? It's like...
Yeah, you can't just sit back and be like, oh, well, that's normal. No.
It's like, no. It's like, no. What's normal is telling someone they suck online, right? As look at our comment section, there's definitely a fair amount of that. That's normal, right? It's when you're getting to the point where she's literally getting death threats that it's just like, all right, like, hold up, time out, right? There's been a flag on the field. Like, what the fuck is going on here, right? So the fact that she's receiving death threats over just saying, again, remember, this is before she mentioned her personal story with Vic Mignogna. So all she is saying is, I believe the victims. She also had mentioned that she had seen some of this herself, some of this harassment go on. So you sit there and you're like, wait a minute. Like, even if you don't believe her, but if you're trying to weigh everything, just weigh it on a scale, you're thinking, wait a minute. So she's worked with Vic Mignogna, and so she, so she knows him better than I might. Therefore, perhaps she knows him better, right? Because again, you might say, but I know him. I met him at a con once for 5 minutes. Okay, but she has worked with him both, you know, not in the recording booth, to be fair. They don't record together. No one really ever records together with US dubbing. But she goes to cons. She sees him in ways that you and I, and not just Tristan and I, but you, the general you, probably have ever seen him. So it's just something that, I'm not saying that she is to be believed 100% or anyone is, because these are allegations. But the issue is that when you're weighing it, you have to look at the fact that she knows him much better than we do. Now, something else I want to mention as well. People are bringing up these conspiracy theories like, well, she wants to take his job. Now, at this point, when you say that, Tristan, is her range anywhere near Vic's range? Because like, all jokes aside, right, Vic has done some minor director's work in Funimation, but he has not directed anything in Funimation in a very long time, and funnily enough, neither has she, and that's actually probably due to the fact that they've moved over from dubbing things, not everything this way, but many things that they used to dub over years behind, they now do simul-dubbing. So they can't use them in both capacities. Also, Monica Rial has written less than she used to. Many others have done that as well. So when you look at this, if you look at this whole thing and say like, oh, she's clearly just gunning for his job, I don't know what job you're thinking of, because Vic Mignogna is not in a managerial position at Funimation, and neither is she.
Right.
So that's one thing to bring up as well.
And it's not like she would be getting cast for a role that he would be in.
Exactly. You know, she's not going to be Broly. I mean, that's the thing, too, as well. If anyone doesn't know, if anyone doesn't, you know, watch as much anime, or even just doesn't look at the behind-the-scenes stuff, anime nearly never gets redubbed. I have seen very few redubs, and the reason why redubs will happen is, funny enough, Funimation was one of them, and Vic Mignogna was cast in it. The Vision of Escaflowne was done on Fox Kids back in the day. Fox Kids didn't do it, but I forgot who had dubbed it, but they did it, they were edited for TV. So because they were edited for TV, you can't use those English dub audio recordings, and you can't match those with the Japanese full episodes. So they thought, well, there's two options here. If we have the master recordings, we could maybe do something with that and maybe work with some of the sound effects. Now, I assume they did not have the masters. So they sat there and they're like, are we just going to cut in Japanese dialogue? And funnily enough, I have an Ultraman set, which there's an English dub for this Ultraman season, and there's a Japanese dub. And when the English dub cuts into stuff that the Japanese version has and the English doesn't, it just immediately switches to Japanese audio. And it is super jarring. So Funimation sat there with this license and thought, you know what? Let's just redub it, because it's just simpler to do that for us, funnily enough. So when you do that, that's when it gets, in that situation, it's redubbed. But even if Funimation had the rights to Fullmetal Alchemist, not going to get redubbed. There is someone, and I don't remember his name, I think it was Scott Freeman. He was arrested for possessing child pornography. So at that point, you're like, holy shit, his role in Hetalia is definitely going to get redubbed. It didn't. The first 2 seasons, he's still on them, and they're still being distributed. Now, in future seasons, obviously he's been recast. He's not going to be doing this from a fucking prison cell. But at the same time, he's still not going to be, he still has not been recast in older versions of Hetalia or any other work that he's done. That's just not how the industry works. So it doesn't even seem like Mignogna is going to get redubbed in the DVD and Blu-ray version of Dragon Ball Super Broly, because those have been produced for a while now. Like, those have been ready, pressed, printed, and everything. Funimation will probably not be doing it. And if they do, then I can understand where someone is coming from. But again, it's not going to be Monica Rial. It's not going to be Jamie Marchi. It's not going to be Mars Girl, right? It's not going to be any of these people that have come forward and either have said about their experiences or talked about others' experiences. In this case, especially with the Mono Kian dub, it was Ian Sinclair, who, as far as I've seen, has not said anything about the situation. So Funimation will probably find someone that they believe is neutral in this, rather than someone like Monica Rial to work on any of the shows that Vic was working on. And again, not the same range. Like, she's not going to be, even though it's not being done by Funimation, she's not going to be Rohan from JoJo Part 4, And even then, his role in JoJo Part 4 has most likely already been dubbed over and is probably going to air the entirety on US TV.
Yeah.
I don't know what might happen on DVD, but again, redubs usually don't happen. So anyway, that isn't the only harassment that she's faced, of course. There are other things as well, but sadly those tweets have either been deleted or those threads have been deleted, so sadly we don't have access to those. None of them were as egregious as this, though, because again, I think some people are going to just be shitting on us in the comments down below, but it's like, guys, you really got to step back and think, like, if you've never gotten a death threat before, yeah, this is probably her first time getting a death threat. Like, that's intense, especially when she doesn't have a husband, but she's engaged to someone. She has family. Like, she's thinking about her family and stuff like that, and thinking like, oh my God, what if something happened to me? Because I think there's some people that are like, it's just trolling, it's just shit posting, who cares? And it's like, but the issue is that if it is that, then yes, of course it's fucked up. It's not right, but it is fucked up. But if it is legit, then literally she will die. Like, this isn't an anime. You get shot, you die. You're lucky if you live. And the thing is, and
to have that sitting on your conscience, just the idea that something might happen, and just having that build up as paranoia. That's not something. It's not something anyone should really. That's not something anyone should have to deal with. Period.
No,
but like,
nobody, including. By the way,
a voice actor. Like,
and by the way,
a voice actor is getting death threats.
Yeah, and I would like to say, before someone says this in the comments, we're going to say this later as well, in as many videos as we can, including Vic Mignogna. We said this back when we did our first videos on this.
Right.
Vic Mignogna should not be getting death threats either. If you send a death threat to Vic Mignogna, fuck you. Like, don't do that. And I have full confidence in saying fuck you if you're sending death threats, because come on. Like, where can we take a stand? People want us to be, super duper neutral. Where can we take a stand, though, if it's not about sending death threats, right?
Yeah.
So don't do that to anyone involved in anything regarding this in any way, shape, or form. If you think they're lying, then tell them that they're lying. I think it's wrong to do that outright to their face, but that is much different than saying you're gonna get shot or something along those lines. Now, I've mentioned that all of this was happening before she came out with her testimony about Vic Mignogna. Also, all of this stuff was happening before Vic Mignogna came out, before Funimation came out with a statement themselves. We'll mention that a little bit later. But in the statement, they mentioned that they did an internal investigation on all of this. Now, some people are also saying Monica was a part of it, as in she's like running it, and it's like, no, she was a part of it. Like, she potentially gave her testimony because she's a co-worker, and so she can testify about like what she's seen and stuff like that. And before we even get to what she talked about in a recent tweet, by the way, Tristan, what is your take on this as I'm looking for this tweet?
Well, I mean, like I said before, no one should be getting death threats like this.
No.
She shouldn't have to worry about her life or the life of her family or anyone close to her.
Yeah, no, like, it's this thing is like, because Tristan's an innocent boy. He's an innocent lad.
Okay.
Look at him with his cat and his trunk shirt. He's just an innocent boy from the future. He doesn't know, because like, all jokes aside, like, it's just one of those things where like, obviously Tristan knows that fucked up shit happens. Like, it would be really odd to be like, Tristan, did you know? Like, no, you know that this shit happens, but it's just one of those things where, you know, we hear all the time, like, oh, women get harassed online and things like that, but until you actually see it, like, you believe it, but until you see it, you're like, holy shit, dude.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
You would think that she would be getting harassed because she was, like, accused of, like, murder or something. There we go. Got it. Okay, good. Perfect. Oh, God, now you see, I have a lot of tabs open, everybody. Now you know me. Okay, so, no, the amount of people that give me shit for my tabs. Hey, screw you, Tristan.
One of them.
Tristan, go fuck yourself. We joke like this, everybody, because if we don't, we would literally be dead inside. Okay, so don't say you already are, Tristan. God damn it.
I know.
I love him too much. Okay, so yeah, here's the thing, right? So this is we're gonna read this out for anyone who is listening to this on the podcast, and for some reason we didn't cut this down because again we need to breathe every once in a while. Let's actually read her. This is her most recent statement on the matter where she actually talks about what happened with her and Vic Mignogna. Again, up to this point, I didn't even want to say that something happened with her and Vic Mignogna. And again, of course, we should again acknowledge this is all alleged. So this is what she says happened to her. Let me read this out right here. First, please know that I've tried to address his behavior with him. I'm the kind of friend that will tell you when you have food in your teeth, and I was tired of people talking about him behind his back. How would he change if he didn't know his behavior was wrong? Each time he would apologize and then be back at it within weeks. The studios slowly began to stop working with him, not just because of sexual harassment, but because he was difficult to work with. Just a pause right here. I believe she might be referring to some people who have said that he shows up kind of late, which some people online have kind of scoffed, like, who cares if he shows up late? And it's like, well, his employers. So that would be kind of a reason why employers would want to stop working with him if he's showing up late. Like, interestingly enough, I think some people are trying to think that, like, I'm sitting here supporting all corporations that have let him go, when really, corporations are about the green. So if he was costing Funimation and other companies who may have let him out of his contract green by potentially, and this is, again, a more alleged stuff, showing up late to work, you know, and just generally being difficult to work with when in the booth. If that's the case too, that is something else that's worth, you know, looking into as to why he may have been let go. Now, continuing on with this, she says, even though he had a huge fan following, directors began to look elsewhere. Whenever he saw me, he would take a fistful of my hair, pull my head back, and either whisper so closely to my ear that his lips were touching or kissing my cheek/neck. This was usually done in front of fans or colleagues, so I had to be very careful about how I reacted. I didn't even realize how inappropriate it was because he did it to so many people. I've witnessed it happen just as others have witnessed it happen to me, colleagues and fans. In the mid-2000s, we were at a convention together, and he grabbed me and kissed me in his hotel room. I froze. You may wonder why I didn't yell or scream or push him away. I was scared. Why? Because I was raped as a teenager, and I learned that sometimes fighting back makes it worse. Why did I go to his room? Because he asked me to watch a video, and I trusted him because he was my friend. Not only that, but he was dating my friend Michelle, and I had been flirting with my soon-to-be boyfriend at the convention all weekend. After that experience, I distanced myself from him, and unfortunately Michelle as well. I felt incredibly guilty even though I hadn't done anything wrong. I went to therapy and worked on forgiveness. I chose to forgive him for what he had done. Maybe it was just me. Maybe it was a one-time thing, never never to be repeated again. You can imagine my devastation when I learned that I wasn't the only one, that it was happening to colleagues and, worse yet, convention attendees. Now, let me pause here, because some people might wonder, like, well, why didn't she go to the police? Or, like, why didn't she do this and this and this and this and this? I think what people need to understand is, during a situation like this, you might, like, some people, especially if they have to work with this person, might sit back and be like, I kind of have to, like, I think some people, and I don't mean to be rude to everybody, but I'm just talking about some people. Some people expect Monica Rial to be like a pro wrestler, where it's just like, well, when you have a problem in pro wrestling, you hit someone with a chair, you hit them with a DDT or a Stone Cold Stunner or a Rock Bottom, and it's like, or a Superman Punch or a Spear or an Attitude Adjustment or an FU. And in this case, it's like, no, this is real life. When you have a problem with someone, especially if, I mean, technically they are not, he isn't in any way more powerful than her in the sense that in the company, you know, perspective, he's not more powerful, but in terms of having a lot of fans and as many fans as he does, and frankly, we have to be honest here, you know, when people are asking her why didn't she come forward with her story sooner, and she mentioned that she's scared, and even in an IO9 article that we're going to bring up later on in the podcast, people talk about being scared, and some people are probably like, well, why were you scared? Look at the current backlash right now during all of this, and tell me why someone wouldn't be scared about coming out. Because the second someone comes out now, immediately it's considered a conspiracy theory.
Right.
That is nuts to think about. Like, immediately someone comes out. Like, again, you can say, I don't know what to think about this. All right? Okay. But when you immediately go, it's a conspiracy. In fact, it's collusion. You have to understand when someone says, I was nervous. It's like, well, why are you nervous? It's like, because all she has is this story. And if you say, well, then it's not proof. Again, okay, but again, all she has is this story. So if you're saying, like, well, why is she scared? Because, again, all she has is this story. Like, and again, you literally just saw, before she even brought up this story, she was getting death threats. That's kind of why someone's going to be a little bit scared and a little bit nervous. Now, let's move on to the next, because she said one more thing about this. She said, all the pictures and messages that are being passed around were taken at the press events and premiere for the Broly movie in mid-December. About 2 weeks after that, 3 of my close friends came forward. When these friends shared their stories with me, I was heartbroken. How could this happen to 3 of my close friends without me ever knowing? As more people came forward, I began to see the similarities. I chose to share my testimony with investigators solely because it corroborated the others' testimony. I didn't start this. I have nothing to gain from it. I didn't steal anyone's roles or titles. The stuff you're hearing on YouTube is all lies attempting to create drama and get subs/views. I'm perfectly content with being just a voice actor. Now, first of all, I don't think she watches our channel, but if she thought that about us, okay, I don't know the woman, right? But obviously what she's referring to is people that are literally without doing their due diligence. And we're going to talk about a channel or two like that a little bit later. But as of right now, just in general, not every channel is doing this, obviously, because we're not. But without doing their due diligence and thinking like, oh, well, Monica Rial clearly wants Vic Mignogna's roles. And it's like, what roles is he doing that she could be doing? Oh, we don't mean roles. We mean his position as a higher paid actor. And it's like, how does anyone know what Vic Mignogna is being paid? Like, this isn't minimum wage. Also, to be fair, they're all being paid pretty shittily because it's a non-union dub. That's the first thing to point out. But the fact that, even putting that aside, the fact that we don't know how much he's being paid, so unless Vic Mignogna is talking about it, which maybe he's the kind of person to talk about it out loud, but unless we know what he is saying, we don't know how much this dude is being paid. If anyone's like, but Matt, Dragon Ball Super Broly is doing so well, he has to be making a lot of money. No, in this industry, you don't get royalties. You do not get royalties. I know how that sounds. Like, what? These guys are getting screwed over, and these gals and these people are getting screwed over. Okay, potentially, right? But they don't get royalties. So if Funimation currently, if they still owned a Fullmetal Alchemist, I was thinking of either the original Brotherhood, but if they don't own either now. So if they still owned either the license to in the U.S., and they talk to Adult Swim, Toonami about putting it on TV, they get the money for the TV license, right? So Funimation gets that money, but Vic doesn't.
Right.
Aaron Dismuke, I think that's his name, the voice actor for Al, the original, he doesn't get money. Nobody from that dub, Chris Sabat doesn't get money. Nobody gets it. And I know how that sounds. That sounds weird, but it's just the truth. So that's the issue when looking at stuff like this. Like, people that are surmising, like, well, let's look at what she has to gain monetarily. It's like, she doesn't have anything to gain, though. Like, she could be neutral. She doesn't have to stand with Vic necessarily, but, like, she has nothing to gain by saying, hey, I actually had a situation with Vic as well. Right. And saying this to, assumingly the testimony is to Funimation, not to a lawyer, because it doesn't seem like there's been a trial of any type. So, for me, it's just a thing where, like, looking at this, the reason why she's saying, like, this is all lies and stuff like that, and you know, and things like that, because anyone that's talking about this and is saying, well, let's look at all the stuff that she has to gain from this, Funimation's not going to pay her more because Vic is out of the picture.
Yeah.
That's just not how this works. She mentions the investigations, referring to Funimation's investigations, again, that we'll bring up a little bit later, were incredibly thorough. Each person was interviewed, the evidence weighed, and a decision made. Each company has to look out for the safety of their employees. In this instance, these companies felt they made the best decision to protect their employees and contract workers. Also, these companies aren't obligated to share any information with you. Many of the women who've come forward have chosen to remain anonymous, especially after seeing the way I've been attacked. Please respect their privacy. Now, the idea of aren't obligated to share any information, some of you guys that probably haven't been asking for information are like, wow, that's very presumptuous of her that people want information. Please understand, if you go on Twitter, literally on anyone's feed that has been talking about this, you will find people who are saying, Funimation, tell me who you interviewed, how you interviewed them, the time, just give me all of your details. And here's the thing, and Tristan knows this, and I know this, I mean, because I've asked some of them and they haven't replied. So, I don't, to be fair, I don't know if, you know, they should probably reply to me, but I've asked, are you a lawyer? Are you a cop? Are you a lawyer anywhere near where this stuff is alleged to have happened? Because who are you to just ask Funimation, give me all of your evidence? Like, we're not even asking that. Like, and we're on the YouTube, which to some people makes us seem like we're important or something. So, like, what?
It would be, you know, the same thing on the other side. If we wanted the evidence to be like, oh, well, here's your evidence, you know, that backs up these allegations. It's like, no, we have no right of asking that.
Right, yes. If we were the ones asking, not to try to, you know, make it seem like Vic is innocent, but if we were the ones trying to be like, oh, is Vic not innocent? Then show us the evidence. No, it's not right for anyone who ever asks, unless, of course, you are Vic Mignogna's lawyer, in which case you would do that in an email to Funimation, not on a Twitter public
forum. Yeah,
not on a Twitter public forum. And also, if Funimation released, which we'll talk about again more later, but if Funimation released that stuff, that would also leave them liable. So they're also looking out for themselves and their employees, and technically also in a way Vic Mignogna. Because it is looking out for Vic Mignogna and his, you know, and his right to privacy as well, in, you know, at least what has been revealed about him, allegedly, in these testimonies. Because it might be more stuff than we even know. Right. So, yeah, so we're not privy to this information. But either way, continuing onward, because she still has more to say. I didn't want to come forward on Twitter, but I felt like I had to do something because my friends' lives, children, and careers were being threatened. Also, I knew if I didn't, there was a good chance that this would just get swept under the rug, ... again. Now, in case some people don't know, maybe this is your first video, your first time you're watching one of our videos, know that she has called him out on this before, like she mentioned, and these accusations have been out there for 15 years. Tristan and I have heard about these allegations when we were in high school, and we were at the time 16 to 17 years old, so that's about 2008 to 2009. Now, that doesn't mean that they're automatically all like to be believed just because they've been around for a while. But the thing is that people have been, again, I think in bad faith or just not knowing, been talking about the fact that, oh, these allegations coming out around Dragon Ball Super Broly means that it's because of the movie and these allegations haven't appeared before. And it's like, no. They've been around for a long time. Yes, the movie has come out. But again, according to her, if she is to be believed, they have been looking into this even before the movie was being dubbed into English.
Right.
Anyway. She still has a little bit more to say before we move on to another story. She says, I apologize for lashing out and threatening fans. I don't want to have to take people to court or send law enforcement after them, but I was doing what I felt necessary to protect myself at the time. There is a watch list, and I have names and numbers of multiple harassers, but I'm willing to forgive if you stop this madness right now. You may feel that my colleagues and I have been harsh, but let me ask you this. How would you respond if your life was being threatened? If the lives of your loved ones, your friends' children, were being being threatened. If your addresses and phone numbers were being passed around like candy so people could call or drop by just to antagonize you. If the local authorities made sure to drive past your house daily just to make sure you're okay. If you were forced to be on the phone with various law enforcement and lawyers every single day. If people were trying to get you fired just because you came forward with the truth. If you were doxxed because people think it's fun to attack those who are hurting. And then she goes on to say, I have always stood up for this community. I have loved the anime fandom from the moment that I went to my first convention. To be threatened like this by the community I love really hurts my heart. I recently stood up for the Dragon Ball fandom, only to have that community come back and attack me mercilessly. It has been so incredibly painful, I can't even express. I have never said anything hurtful toward Vic or any of his fans. I don't want to ruin his life. He was/is my friend. I don't want him to be labeled a predator for life. I want him to get the help and realize that his actions have hurt many people, including me. If he takes the necessary steps to better himself, then perhaps I would be willing to forgive him again. I'm tired of fighting. I'm tired of the threats, all of it. From here on, I will only be posting positivity and light. Any threats or retaliation will be met with an immediate block. I'm not wasting any more time on this matter. It's over. This has been incredibly difficult for everyone involved. Please be kind to one another. And then she posts a heart. So yeah, I mentioned this earlier, but just to reiterate again, she says, or she had said, this was when after she had gotten the death threat, she had been telling people, again, even if they had been saying things that were like mild criticism, she was saying, hey, just sent this to my lawyer. And then again, people, maybe they didn't know, but maybe some of them did, were posting it like it was a meme, like, hi, I'm talking to my personal lawyer. And it's like, dude, like, she was sent a death threat. Where when you're sent a death threat like that, you then gotta call the cops and be like, hey guys, I've just been sent a death threat. And because it was a comment section, I don't know by who and I don't know by where.
Right.
But they said at the next con, and here's when the next con is. So, yeah, can you guys drive by? Like, she has, like, there's so much prep that you have to do when you get a death threat. I think people are just, again, so used to not sending them necessarily, but seeing them online and being like, no one's going to do anything. But then you have a lot of stuff that has been going on recently with swatting, and we'll get to talking about a different type of sad swatting story a little bit later on in the podcast. But you know, people talk about or people see so much stuff that's going on nowadays where, you know, there were some YouTubers, I believe just last year, that someone had went into their house and was following them around with a knife. Thankfully they hid in a closet, and when the police had captured him, he had said, yeah, if I had found them, I would have killed the guy, proposed to the girl, and if she said no, I would have killed her. And it was going to kill them both or something along those lines. And you're like, holy shit. Like, someone just did that. I don't know how they found that person's address. Perhaps, you know, at one point before they had a P.O. box, maybe that was out there, or because they're YouTubers with their names out there, their, you know, public info's out there. But that's some scary shit to think about.
Yeah.
And to have to sit there and in their case, by the way, they didn't even talk out about anything. They were just two YouTubers doing their thing.
Right.
So in this case, the fact that she had come out, again, if you want to say what you want to say about her, you can say it respectfully. I really think you can say it respectfully. And I think some people are going to be like, no, you can't. No, I really think you can. Right? If you have criticism, you can criticize, but respectfully. Right. So, yeah.
I get the feeling people are probably going to bring it up as well. Mm-hmm. Some of the tweets that Monica may have put out that seemed inappropriate at the time.
Well, are you thinking of Marchi or Marky? Because Marky was very inappropriate. I don't think Monica had
right
there. That was Marky, to be fair. There's so much going on here that, yeah, it's a whirlwind. Yeah. No, thankfully, oh God, Patchy's so adorable. You guys, if you guys are listening to the podcast, please go watch the videos, because Patchy really just makes you feel better about life and humanity. But still, yeah, so just putting it out there, like, when looking at her comments, I mean, she says sorry because she was not only apologizing, I think, on Marky's behalf, but also if she had said something inappropriate, if she had, because maybe she does think that, hey, maybe I did overreact when I said I'll send you to my lawyer. But again, because again, not all of, but still, like, I know to you, Tristan, you're like, no, she didn't.
At least in my opinion, no, I don't think she's overreacting. But also, you know, with the tweet that you read out, I think the thing that hits me the most, and I don't know, Pete, you can say I'm two-faced about it and saying, oh, will you accept her apology but not Vic's? And the idea that Monica's even talking about, I hope he gets help, and that he was and / is my friend.
Yeah.
That level of forgiveness is astounding.
No, yeah, that is hard to do, right? And the thing is too is that, like, and I think we said this before as we're gonna wrap this one up. Vic Mignogna doesn't have to apologize to us. He has not done anything to us personally. Vic Mignogna doesn't have to apologize to us. He has to apologize to, you know, some of the people that, like, if he has done some of this stuff, he has to apologize to them, right? And again, they also don't have to forgive him. So yeah, the fact that she's even sitting there like, and I forgive him, it's just like, damn. Like, that is a level that you don't really see a lot of. I mean, you would normally, I'm not trying to knock her down, but you normally see a tweet like Jamie Markey's tweet, which we'll talk about a little bit later. You normally see something like that in reaction rather than a reaction like Monica Rial's. So, you know, again, like, I'm not saying you have to agree with us. Again, we're still calling them allegations. I'm not saying you have to agree with her. I'm just saying that if you're going to disagree, why are you going to disagree in a way that either slut shames her?
Just do it respectfully.
Just do it respectfully. And again, maybe she and others think that it's not respectful, and that's fair. You know, we're not victims in this case, or we're not alleged victims in this case, and that's fair. But what I consider respectful is someone trying to engage in a discussion, a normal discussion, or at least looking up the info and then trying to come up with a normal discussion, rather than just saying, you know what, all liars, and believing conspiracy theories that are being posted online. Either way, though, I would like to say, even though I know that she's not watching this video, but if anyone, you know, is watching and who knows her, just, again, I don't know how well she is at the internet, but from what I've noticed by following this story is, I believe that certain YouTubers, some who like anime, some who don't, have been talking about this story, and have been doing it in a way that has been riling up certain people who are not anime fans, who, again, don't even know, not everyone, of course, because I can't say that it's everyone, but certain people who are not anime fans, who don't know how this industry works, and who are truly thinking like, well, of course she comes out, and then she might be paid millions of dollars like Vic is, and it's like, oh no, honey, Vic is not being paid millions of dollars. Like, the dude is getting paid, like, when he goes to cons, he's getting paid maybe hundreds, and that's on money that's money that he could blow in that same weekend by buying good, really, really good food.
Yeah,
like the cons
expenses.
What? Oh, well, no, the hotel expenses are paid. Those are comped totally. Right. Hotel, flight, super comped. You don't have to worry about that if you're getting invited to a con and you're an anime VA. It's about the food money that's obviously not getting comped. So if you're getting paid, let's say $200, you got to be frugal for that weekend, or for however long you're there, a day or 2 days. You got to be frugal. You can't blow through that money. But you're not getting paid a lot when you go to these cons. Like, anime isn't a niche anymore, but it isn't like Hollywood, like Stallone, right? Stallone was at New York Comic Con years ago. Did I tell you about this story, Tristan? Stallone was charging $400 an autograph.
Right. Oh, yeah. Right. I remember.
I can't say fuck no more. Like, and I like Stallone's work, but I can't say fuck no any more to that than, but that's the thing, if Stallone's doing that, it's like, no, Vic Mignogna is not Stallone. Like, I'm not trying to knock the guy for his work or for his standing in the industry, but he's not Stallone. He is not, and even if you want to say, but he's like the Stallone of anime. But again, anime still pays, it doesn't pay well. Like, we got to be real here, guys. Like, anime is not the Hollywood, like they say, like the Hollywood glitz and glamour. Like, you're getting paid like Robert Downey Jr. money if you're at the top. It's like, nah, dude. Like, you're getting paid less. You're getting paid like, I don't even can't think of you're getting paid like less than Paul Rudd did in Civil War, probably. Just being an anime voice actor on a really good day.